Hello everyone. In this video I will discuss one of the films called Redcon 1, and never forget that I always pray for you and your family to be happy and healthy always. The film begins when two countries are at war with each other, and one of the countries manages to capture some enemy troops who are then imprisoned in an international detention center. Unfortunately, a riot breaks out in the prison, and several prisoners manage to escape. In this incident, one of them, named James Rowan, appears to be carrying a mysterious virus that can turn people into zombies. When he tries to escape from the police pursuit, one of the women he took hostage tries to escape by biting him, but she turns into a zombie while en route to the hospital. Since then, the zombie virus outbreak has quickly spread throughout the city, forcing the government to quarantine the city and name it a quarantine zone to prevent the zombie outbreak from spreading to other areas. In response to this, a military general orders several special forces units to enter the quarantine zone to find a doctor named Dr. Julian, whom they believe created the zombie virus, hoping he can develop a vaccine. Additionally, they must find one of James's friends named Ivan, who is also an experiment subject for Dr. Julian, so they can use Ivan's body, which is immune to the virus, to find the vaccine. Before they leave, the general warns the soldiers that they only have 72 hours to complete the mission before the city is bombed with a nuclear bomb. The reason the general is desperate to find the vaccine is that his son has also been affected by the zombie outbreak, so he hopes the special forces will succeed in locating Dr. Julian. Without delay, two squads of special forces led by Captain Marcus immediately enter the quarantine zone to find their targets. When they arrive, they witness the horrifying condition of the city, as there are no longer any people there, and they encounter several gruesomely dead zombies. When some zombies start to approach them, the special forces immediately use their shooting and martial arts skills to fend off the zombie attacks. However, because there are too many zombies, Captain Marcus orders his men to retreat and find another way, which causes them to be briefly separated from the second squad. Long story short, after successfully escaping from the zombie pursuit, the second squad unknowingly finds several armored vehicles from the army headquarters nearby, allowing them to explore the entire city without worrying about zombie attacks. When they arrived in the city center, they briefly saw some gang members who had also survived the zombie outbreak, but Captain Marcus instructed them to ignore them as they still had a mission to accomplish. Then, after reaching their destination, the special forces immediately cleared the entire building of the zombies residing there, and it seemed that the zombies were not a hindrance to the highly skilled special forces like Marcus and the others. Initially, Marcus and the others were able to clear out the zombies easily, but unexpectedly, a horde of zombies suddenly attacked them from nowhere, severely injuring one of Marcus's men. Then, when they arrived at their destination, they immediately searched the entire place. However, Dr. Julian was no longer there, and they argued because one soldier intended to end the life of their bitten comrade, Jacob, who had previously been bitten by a zombie. Jacob, who was bitten, realized that he was just a burden to his friends if he turned into a zombie, so in the end he decided to end his own life. Meanwhile, Captain Marcus and the others decided to rest first while waiting for information about Dr. Julian from the central headquarters. Then, when a young soldier named Perry tried to check the computer there, he accidentally found a recording about Dr. Julian stating that he had seen a group of zombie soldiers who were able to move in groups and capture some surviving civilians, so Dr. Julian decided to leave to find a safer place. Perry said that the recording was made 36 hours ago, indicating that there was a possibility that Dr. Julian was still alive and must be somewhere. On the other hand, Ivan, who is now the leader of the surviving gangster group, realized that there were soldiers who shot one of his men, so he was very angry and ordered his subordinates to find the whereabouts of the soldiers. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to two sisters hiding in a mini-market, unaware that they meet Dr. Julian, who is thirsty and looking for a cold drink. Long story short, the next day after Marcus and the others finished burying their comrade, they resumed their search for Dr. Julian through vast plains, until they accidentally stumbled upon many piles of deceased people. Shortly after, several armored vehicles began to approach them, leaving Marcus and his friends with no choice but to disguise themselves among the pile of corpses. When the vehicles arrived, it turned out they were driven by zombie soldiers who were much smarter than the other zombies. They even managed to capture Perry and take him away along with the other surviving prisoners. The zombie soldiers then took Perry and the other prisoners to a base camp built by the zombies, where there were more prisoners, including Dr. Julian and 2 siblings. Seeing this, Perry immediately contacted Marcus to show him the location and also inform him that he had found Dr. Julian, so Marcus planned to infiltrate the base. But because there were many well-armed zombie soldiers there, Marcus came up with an idea for them to sneak in without being detected by disguising themselves as zombie soldiers. Apparently, the zombie soldiers there did not realize that Marcus and the others were disguised, so Marcus and his friends managed to easily infiltrate and find Perry. Initially, they planned to take only Dr. Julian, but one soldier named Lau said they couldn't just leave these people, which angered another soldier named Frank, because these people were just a burden to their mission. In the end, Marcus agreed with Lau to take the people with them, and as they were about to escape, the zombie soldiers suddenly noticed them, leading to a battle between the special forces and the zombie soldiers. In the midst of the battle, for some reason, Frank left Marcus and the female soldier named Kira, who were fighting the zombie soldiers. Frank even told the others that Marcus had been bitten by a zombie. On the other hand, when Marcus and the others tried to escape, Lau, who had been bitten earlier, told Marcus and Kira to leave with a child named Alicia while he tried to hold off the zombie soldiers. But in the end, Lau was overwhelmed by the large number of zombie soldiers. After going quite far, Alicia urged Marcus to go back because her sister was still there, but unfortunately Marcus couldn't do that because Alicia's sister had been bitten by one of the zombies. Meanwhile, as Frank and the others were about to leave for the extraction point, they unexpectedly encountered 2 civilians who had survived the zombie outbreak. However, for some reason Frank shot them both, angering Frederick, who then punched Frank. Unbeknownst to them, from a distance, some gangsters were watching them, and after receiving orders to attack, the gangsters immediately shot at the soldiers, causing Frederick to be shot and killed. Frank and the others then tried to hide in one of the buildings, which used to be a prison where Dr. Julian conducted experiments on some prisoners. Realizing that it was Dr. Julian who had caused them to lose many people, Frank and Rodrigo immediately attacked Dr. Julian. Luckily, Marcus arrived just in time and stopped their actions. Rodrigo was confused as to why Marcus was still alive when Frank had previously said they were dead, and Marcus explained that Frank had deliberately abandoned them. Not only that, Marcus also managed to locate them because he had previously placed a tracker in Dr. Julian's pocket, which made them wonder why Frank was willing to leave his captain behind. Frank then claimed that their captain was just a weak person who cared more about the safety of others than their mission. Marcus finally got angry and showed his frustration to Frank. After that, they locked Frank in one of the rooms. Meanwhile, Marcus tried to find out why Dr. Julian created the dangerous virus and used it on humans. Dr. Julian finally revealed that he was ordered by the military leaders to find a drug that could make soldiers stronger than other humans, so they could win the ongoing war. Unfortunately, only a few people were immune to the virus, one of whom was James Rowan, who had previously escaped from prison. So if the virus entered ordinary people, they would turn into zombies, leading to the rapid spread of the zombie virus. The next day, Alicia woke up from a nightmare, and Marcus tried to reassure her by promising to take her to a safe place away from the zombies. Marcus then met with Frank and hoped that Frank would cooperate with him because he knew that Frank was not a bad person. But for some reason, now it was Rodrigo and Kira who planned to take Dr. Julian away, because they both couldn't trust anyone anymore. Unbeknownst to them, suddenly from behind, the gangsters led by Ivan started shooting at them, forcing the soldiers to engage in a shootout with the gangsters until they managed to escape using a car. After they had gone far enough, Rodrigo and Kira bid farewell to Marcus and the others, saying they wanted to start a new life because Kira had experienced deep trauma from fighting the zombies. Ultimately, Marcus informed the general that he had successfully saved their target and they needed extraction. So without delay, the general sent a helicopter to pick them up. Shortly after, when the general arrived with his men, Frank suddenly aimed his weapon and disarmed Marcus. After everything was safe, the general immediately shot Dr. Julian dead. Apparently, The general didn't want the whole world to know that he was the one who ordered Dr. Julian to create the zombie virus, so he had to eliminate Dr. Julian first. Furthermore, the general also threatened to harm Perry's parents if he did not comply, which forced Perry to obey the general's request to preserve all the data in Dr. Julian's laboratory. After finishing, the general immediately ordered his men to eliminate Marcus and his friends, and as a result of the gunfire, zombies began to converge on them, forcing Marcus to take the severely injured Frank to escape from the pursuing zombies. Unfortunately, as Frank could not hold out much longer, he apologized to Marcus for being deceived by the general and instructed Marcus to leave so he could expose the general's treachery while he held off the zombies chasing them. With his last strength, Frank fought against the zombies, but in the end he couldn't defeat them all and was overwhelmed by the zombies. In summary, 19 hours before the city was bombed with a nuclear bomb, Marcus, very angry, told Perry to leave him because he was fed up with all the betrayals his subordinates had committed against him. Marcus then took Alicia to a relatively safe place so they wouldn't be chased by zombies, but it seemed Alicia couldn't hold out much longer, as she had been bitten by one of the zombies chasing them earlier. Nevertheless, Marcus continued to carry Alicia until, while they were sleeping, Marcus suddenly saw Alicia, now turned into a zombie, approaching him and attacking him. Unbeknownst to him, it was all just a dream because Alicia was still fine, and because Marcus was starting to panic, he planned to leave Alicia alone. But as the zombies started to converge, Marcus couldn't bear to leave Alicia alone and immediately fought the zombies. Marcus then apologized to Alicia, promising to save her. But suddenly Ivan and his men appeared from behind and captured them both. Ivan, who was once a prisoner of war, seemed very angry with the people from Marcus's country who had imprisoned him, and his anger didn't stop there. Ivan became even more enraged when he found out that the people from Marcus's country were the ones who created the zombie virus outbreak. Initially, Ivan planned to punish Marcus by ordering Alicia to shoot him. But unknowingly, when Ivan saw Alicia's necklace, he realized that Alicia was the daughter of James Rowan, his own friend. Because of this, Ivan finally agreed to listen to Marcus's explanation about how he had been betrayed by his superiors, which led Ivan to accept Marcus and Alicia to join his group. However, Marcus stated that they couldn't continue to stay in the city because soon the military would destroy the entire city using a nuclear bomb, so they planned to leave the city using Ivan's connections. Ivan then provided some weapon equipment to Marcus because he had now become a part of their group, and they immediately set off towards the border where some of Ivan's friends, a volunteer group, were located. As they were almost there, Marcus and Alicia briefly enjoyed the beach view not far from the border, which reminded Marcus of his wife again. He even began to consider Alicia as his own daughter. Unbeknownst to them, the general learned that Marcus planned to breach the border with Ivan's group, so he immediately ordered his men to stop anyone attempting to cross the border. The general then injected himself with a serum from Dr. Julian, which appeared to be a special serum that could make the human body much stronger than before. Then, when Marcus and Alicia were almost there, they inadvertently entered a dangerous area where there were many landmines, and as the zombies began to approach them, the zombies instantly exploded because they accidentally stepped on the mines. In the midst of the chaos, Marcus finally managed to rescue Alicia from the zombies, and as he tried to fight off the zombies, Perry and the other volunteers suddenly arrived to help Marcus defeat the zombies. In short, when they were near the border, one of the volunteers named Rachel told Marcus that they were former health volunteers who had come to help save people. However, because there were too many zombies, they ended up trapped there, and Rachel said that their current number was over 200 people. Hearing this, Marcus then instructed Rachel to evacuate everyone from the city, because a nuclear bomb would soon be dropped on the city, which left Rachel puzzled about how they could evacuate so many people amidst the zombie outbreak. But because they didn't have much time left, Marcus finally suggested that they fight against the zombies, and when Marcus mentioned that Alicia was immune to zombies, Rachel felt that they could find a vaccine, so they had to save Alicia no matter what. In short, after everyone prepared, they immediately broke through and fought the zombies around the border, resulting in a battle between human forces and zombie forces. Unfortunately, because there were too many zombies, Rachel urged Marcus to take Alicia away quickly, because she was the only hope for humanity to stop the spread of the zombie virus outbreak. Without delay, Marcus immediately took Alicia to a safe place, but unfortunately, Marcus was bitten by one of the zombies, which meant he couldn't hold out much longer. He then told Alicia to go to the border while carrying his book, and shortly after, as Marcus began to turn into a zombie, for some reason, Alicia's words reminded him of past memories, until he realized that he had a mission to save Alicia, even though he was now turning into a zombie. After fighting for a long time, Marcus, Alicia, Perry, Rachel, and the other volunteers finally managed to break through the zombies until they reached the border, where there were many soldiers guarding it. Realizing that Marcus had arrived, the general ordered all his men to shoot Marcus and the others, but none of the soldiers dared to because among them were mothers and children. Marcus then tried to attack the general, and because the general had previously injected a special serum, he could easily match Marcus's strength. But unfortunately, it didn't last long because Marcus finally managed to end the general's life. The soldiers, unwilling to harm Alicia and the others, finally urged them to enter. But for some reason, Marcus suddenly went berserk, which forced Perry to end the life of the captain, who had now fully turned into a zombie. In the end of the film, it is seen that Marcus is now reunited with his wife, while Alicia is now the key to stopping the spread of the zombie outbreak, and the film ends. And that's it for the story series of this film. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to support this channel by subscribe, like and share. See you in the next video. Goodbye.